The Buccaneers look to get a big win against the Patriots and potentially one of their big men back in the trenches. That and more on today's episode of Locked On Bucs.
You are Locked On Buccaneers, your daily Tampa Bay Buccaneers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, and welcome into this episode of Locked On Bucs, your daily podcast covering the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I want to thank you for making Locked On Bucs your first listener view every day. Don't forget you can subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, you can follow along on Twitter. I am James Yarcho at JYarcho_Bucs, credentialed member of the media covering your Tampa Bay Buccaneers, here with you every Monday through Friday along with the everydayers. And for that, I want to share my appreciation for your continued support of the show. One of the ways you can support the show is become a Locked On Bucs insider. You're going to get news, rumors, updates, general thoughts, one-on-one conversations with me via text message. Go to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnBucs or click the link in the show notes to become an insider today. This episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. First and foremost, I am so excited to be live with all of you tonight on YouTube. I missed this last week. The chat started popping off about 10 minutes before we even started, so I appreciate each and every one of you. I am so happy we are back to a Friday live. We'll have a Sunday live. In fact, we'll have two Sunday lives. More on that a little bit later. But keys to victory and predictions are coming up in a little bit. We have to start with me admitting that I was wrong. Yeah, I know it doesn't happen very often, but early on this week on this show, as well as on the Bucs Squad show, I talked about how I thought the Bucky Irving would be making his return this week. Turns out that is not happening. Todd Bowles already ruled out 4 players for Sunday's game against the Patriots: Bucky Irving, Chris Godwin, Haason Reddick, and Markees Watts. That, of course, means that I was wrong about something else. Luke Goedeke is in play for Sunday's game. Todd Bowles told the media, quote, "He is going to be questionable. He is questionable right now. He had a good day today. We have to see how he feels and go from there," end quote. The Buccaneers opened Goedeke's 21-day window to return to the roster from injured reserve earlier this week. And if he's already on track and appears ready to play the same week that that window opened up, that kind of tells me that he was likely potentially ready last week, or at least would have been close to playing had they not had a bye. So if Goedeke returns, what does that mean? For starters, it immediately improves the protection for Baker Mayfield. Baker is being pressured on 39% of his dropbacks this season, and he has been sacked 17 times. Now, that is a lower sack rate than what he has dealt with in each of his first 2 seasons with the Bucs, but it's still way too high, and a big reason for that is the shuffling that the offensive line has had to do just about every week because of all of these injuries. The other thing that Goedeke's return means is a drastic improvement in the run game. With or without Bucky in this game, the Bucs were already going to struggle against one of the NFL's top rushing defenses. Now they get a little bit of a boost and might be able to get a couple more plays here and there on the ground to, at the very least, keep the defense honest and open up the play action for Baker and the pass catchers. Last year, according to PFF, Goedeke had a 75.7 grade in run blocking. This year, through just 1.5 games, he was up to 78.5, with Houston being the best run blocking game of his career until he had to come out because of the foot injury. By comparison, you guys aren't going to want to hear this, Charlie Heck's run blocking grade has been a 44 this season. That is a massive jump in skill level, in talent, and in ability. And again, all due respect to Charlie Heck. He is playing his butt off and doing everything that he can, but he's not Tristan Wirfs and he's not Luke Goedeke. All that said, the Bucs are going to have to throw the ball in order to win this game, because that's where you can beat the Patriots defense. With Goedeke back in the fold, It would buy Baker a little extra time to find his playmakers down the field. I'm looking at you, Emeka Ibuka, for chunk plays and to keep the chains moving. So this will be huge if Goedeke is able to return. As for the rest of the players out, Reddick and Watts both missing leaves the Bucs pretty shorthanded on the edge. So you're going to once again see the primary duo of Yaya Diaby and Anthony Nelson. You're going to have some Chris Braswell mixed in, but also look for a practice squad elevation of Mo Kamara, who they added just a few weeks ago. That would make the most sense, since you certainly don't want to enter the game with only 3 edge rushers on the active game day roster. However, if that's their plan, I could also see some situations where they run more of a 4-3 look with Levante, Servassier, and Deion Jones all on the field, but with Voss playing more of that edge rusher role and being in there to get after the quarterback, leaving Levante and Jones to play more of that traditional linebacker role. It is something to keep an eye on. I think we could see all 3 of those guys on the field together at some point on Sunday, especially if the pass rush needs a little bit of a spark and you can have a guy like Voss get after the quarterback. As for the Patriots, it's not all sunshine and roses for them. Christian Gonzalez will play this week, so that's going to make things a little harder on Ibuka, but I don't think it's going to result in him being shut down in this game by any means. The Patriots will be without running back Ramondre Stevenson, linebacker Christian Ellis, and wide receiver Kayshon Boutte. The biggest of these losses to me is going to be Ellis. Again, this is one of the top run defenses in the league, and Ellis is one of their better run defenders. With him out, they're going to have to turn to Jack Gibbons, which is going to be a noticeable drop-off in production. Offensively, Boutte has been outstanding this year. He leads the Pats in touchdowns and yards per reception, trailing Stephon Diggs in yards by just 77, while having 22 fewer targets and 22 fewer receptions. He's been the guy for the Pats to really stretch the field and be that deep threat, as Diggs isn't who he used to be. That means their receiving core will be Diggs, Demario Douglas, and Mac Hollins as the primary trio for Drake May. I'm not sure really any of those guys is going to be able to go off against this Buccaneer secondary. The player I do worry about is Travion Henderson, who will take over for Stevenson at running back. He hasn't gotten a ton of opportunities on the ground this year, but he leads the team in yards and he gains a little over 4 yards per carry. However, the Bucs run defense is solid, so I'm not worried about that aspect of the game. I'm worried about him as a receiver. With the Patriots' top receiving option out, Henderson is insanely dangerous as a pass-catching running back, where we know the Bucs have struggled. We saw it week after week when he was with Ohio State, and for some reason, that has not been a big part of his game with the Patriots. I don't know if it's a Vrabel rookie, earn your stripes kind of thing or what, but Henderson is insanely dangerous as a pass catcher, but he only has 20 receptions this season. If there was a game where they were going to need him to do work as a pass catcher in a game where he could have some really favorable matchups coming out of the backfield, it is certainly this one. Diggs is, of course, going to get his targets. He's going to make some big catches, but the Patriots are going to have to lean on Travion Henderson and Hunter Henry in the passing game to extend some drives and get some tough points on the road if they are going to make this game as competitive as many of us believe it can be. I'm going to go ahead and jump into the chat real quick. Alexander, Jamel, the top graded corner by PFF. Hopefully his play continues. Maybe he goes to the Pro Bowl. In the words of Rondé Barber, Pro Bowl my butt. Jamel Dean could be an all-pro at the level that he's playing. I love where your head's at. I'm right there with you, Alexander. We want to see Jamel Dean continue on the path that he has been down through the first 8 games of the season. It has been a revelation. My son, God love him, he would complain to me every single week last year about Jamel Dean. Now, he loves it when Jamel Dean's on the field because he knows he's going to be out there to make a play. What a turnaround for Dean from one year to the next. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that he is playing healthy. Knock on wood, he has been pretty healthy this year, and that has really hampered him over the course of the last couple seasons. Let's see. We got Danny. New England has had the easiest schedule all year, and it will continue till the end of the year. They are highly overrated. You know what, Danny? I'm glad you brought that up because I am going to talk more about this New England schedule and what it could mean when they have to face the Buccaneers. When I tell you what the Bucs need to do to get a win out of the bye. That is coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Bucs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. You're still overpaying for wireless. It's time to say yes to saying no. At Mint Mobile, their favorite word is no. No contracts, no monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, no BS. I said yes to making the switch and getting premium wireless for just $15 a month. Mint makes it simple. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can even bring your own phone and keep your same number and contacts. The setup is super easy. You kept your number, and then you're running in minutes. Ready to say yes to saying no? Make the switch at mintmobile.com/lockedonnfl. That's mintmobile.com/lockedonnfl. Upfront payment of $45 required, equivalent to $15 a month. Limited time new customer offer for first 3 months only. Speeds slow above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. The NFL season is back, and honestly, there's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering on your team. But let's be honest, getting tickets can be a hassle between queues, login screens, prices jumping at checkout. It's frustrating. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. Game Time is fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. If you want to see this showdown between the Buccaneers and the Patriots, you can get tickets now for under $220, but it's not just sports. You can get concert and theater tickets too. I was able to take advantage of a flash deal just yesterday to get concert tickets for this weekend for my dad, my son, and myself. I cannot wait. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. Thank you again for making Locked On Bucs your first listen review every single day. So what do the Buccaneers need to do to get a win coming out of the bye and continue dominating, in the NFC South? This one, I mean, guys, it's pretty simple. Give Baker time to throw. Don't do the same for Drake May. For Baker, he's been on the wrong side of too many battles in the trenches over the last 2 games. He's had barely over 2 seconds on average to throw the ball, and that just isn't enough for him to find an open guy and then let it rip. Add to that his injury, the hesitancy to run the way he normally does because of that injury. You have back-to-back piss-poor offensive outputs. This time around, fingers crossed that Goedeke plays because of the boost that it's going to give the team and give the offensive line. But you also had a week for these guys to get some rest and to recover. Wirfs still isn't his normal self coming back after that surgery. Bredesen has been solid. Graham Barton needed, I think, a week to kind of reset and gather himself after some really, really bad performances. Mike Jordan had just returned from injury, and wasn't playing to the level that he did earlier in the season. So this offensive line should be in a spot now where they're better both physically and mentally coming into this game. Now, the Patriots are 20th in the NFL in pressure rate. They're allowing the 5th highest completion percentage to opposing quarterbacks this season. Bottom 3rd in the NFL in first downs allowed per pass attempt. You can beat this team through the air, but you got to make sure that Baker isn't under duress all afternoon. Emeka Egbuka is going to be in a plus matchup all game long. Gonzalez is a good corner. Do not get me wrong. Do not hear what I am not saying. But Egbuka is a better receiver than Gonzalez is a corner. Tez is going to have chances to get huge chunk yardage after the catch because the Patriots are one of the worst defenses in the NFL in allowing yards after catch. Cade Otton is going to find himself open. The Patriots are 26th in the NFL against tight ends this season. This is the one that is lining up with every opportunity to be a bounce back game after 2 rough outings for Baker Mayfield and this offense, but it starts up front and the ability to protect him. On the flip side, with Drake May, you got to get him on the ground. He has been sacked the second most out of anyone in the NFL this season, second only to Ward in Tennessee, and he really hasn't faced elite level pass rushing this season. The Bucs, and here you go, Danny, here's where your comment plays in perfectly. The Buccaneers are just the second team next to the Steelers that New England has faced that is in the top 10 in the NFL in pressures this year. They have faced 5 bottom 10 teams, yet Drake May has still been sacked 34 times. You can get to him, and you can do it all game long. That's where things will really start to open up for a very opportunistic Buccaneers defense. May has been outstanding. You know, I'm not going to take anything away from the kid. Second year, second head coach, second system, all of that. But I talked about this on the squad show. I talked about it earlier this week. They haven't really faced anyone this season outside of the Bills and the Steelers. Yet May gets sacked nearly 4 times a game. And he's turned the ball over 6 times. He's got 4 interceptions, 2 fumbles lost, but he's also fumbled 4 more times that his offense was able to recover and prevent it from turning into a turnover. This is the game for Yaya, Nelly, Vita, and then the Todd Bowles blitzing experience, which sounds kind of like an 80s band, but you don't want to blitz too often because May is really, really good against it. This is the game where you can show him a lot of different looks, really disguise where the pressure is coming from. You have Tyke, Antoine, Parrish, Dean, all with sacks this season. Why? Because Bowles will drop his edge rushers into coverage and bring someone else that the quarterback is not expecting. He will put 7 guys up on the line of scrimmage in the box, and then all of a sudden, Reddick will drop back into coverage, and Tyke will come screaming in on a corner or on a slot blitz from the other side of the field. It has worked time and time again. Bowles has been on absolute fire this year with those kinds of misdirections. So this is a huge test for Drake May and the Patriots to prove that they are as good as their record says that they are, while also being a huge test for Baker and the Bucs to show that they can win these kinds of games and that the offense is going to be fine even without all those key players, and that they can go out there and still hang 30 on your head in the blink of an eye. Going to jump into the chat again real quick. I already see Demon Hunter dropping a bold in here. I love that. Lakita says, hope so for Himfield. We have the looks on D. Yeah, absolutely. This defense has been out of their mind over the course of the last month. Little bit of a slow start. We've seen those slow starts all season long, whether it's allowing a score on the opening drive, allowing a huge chunk play to a running back out of the backfield, those kinds of things. But this defense always seems to rally and answer and clamp down. They've been opportunistic. They're 3rd in the NFL in sacks. I don't think anybody's catching the Broncos in sacks. They are unreal. They are on pace to break the record for most team sacks in a season. They got 5 more Thursday night against Oakland. They're up to 45 this year. I mean, think about it. The Broncos are number 1. The Bucs are number 3. And the Broncos have 20 more sacks than the Buccaneers do. Absolutely insane. So I hat tip to that defense. Let's see. We've got Danny says, May holds the ball too long. His O-line is bad. Our defense will get sacks, hopefully 2 sack fumbles. That is a problem with May. We talked about it on the crossover. If you haven't checked that out, make sure you do. But May has played himself into a couple of sacks, and I think that's really going to benefit Todd Bowles in this defense. Yeltsin says, God, please, we need Haason and Bucky back next week. The dominoes are starting to fall. Okay, don't stress, don't panic, don't freak out. When it comes down to that home stretch, you're going to have Bucky back. You're going to have Haason back. You're going to have Godwin back You get a couple weeks further, you're going to get McMillan back. You're going to get Evans back. This is a team that has been playing really, really great football without some really, really great football players. And when you start to get them back, I talk about it on the Blitz. A little sneak preview for you guys when the Blitz drops later Friday night, and you can watch it Saturday or Sunday there on the 10 Tampa Bay app and on YouTube. And Evan always posts it on Twitter. But he asked me, did the Bucs miss an opportunity by not making a move at the deadline? And I said, no, they really, truly didn't. This team is playing extremely good football. And when you start to get all these guys back that you've been missing all year, that's going to feel like trade deadline additions. It's going to feel like mid-season additions, even though they were already on the roster to begin with, because it's going to steadily elevate the play of the team each time one of them comes back. So this is a team that can do some special stuff as they start to get a little more healthy. Demon Hunter, real quick before we hit the next break. James, you said it on the squad show. New England is a team that makes the playoffs, not a playoff team. We're going to find out. We are going to find out because if they win this game, if they beat the Bucs in the Bucs house, they might very well be not just a team that makes the playoffs, but a playoff team. All right, we got those predictions. Oh, I gotta show this one. Richard still hates Sean Payton. Yup. All right, we got those predictions coming up next. Start dropping yours in the live chat. That is coming up on the other side here on Locked On Bucs. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. You and I make decisions every day, but on PrizePicks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement of this sports season, whether you're following the NFL, NBA, or both. There's no better time to jump in on the action. If you haven't tried it yet, PrizePicks is the simplest way to play. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats, and if you get them right, you win. It takes less than 60 seconds to make your lineup, and you can play anywhere PrizePicks operates, including California, Texas, and Georgia. The new Stacks feature is a game changer. For example, you can now pick more on a player like Steph Curry's points, threes, and assists all in the same lineup. Or maybe you want to jump in and when you want to take more on Emeka Egbuka's receptions, yards, and touchdowns. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Wrapping things up here on a live Friday edition of the Locked On Bucs podcast. So happy to be here with all of you in the chat. You guys are killing it. And I did see a comment way back. Paul, the OG Baker bro, to answer your question, yes. I will be going to see Paul McCartney again this weekend. I cannot wait. 3 generations. My dad, myself, my son, going to see this show together. Not many musical artists can bring that wide of an age range together. So yeah, super pumped for that. All right, quick recap here of what Evan said on Wednesday. His bold prediction was that the Bucs were going to be 50% or better on third downs in this game. His player of the game was Cade Otton, which I think is an absolutely fantastic pick. As I already mentioned, the Patriots are not great against the tight end position. And then he took the Buccaneers to win this one convincingly, 28-17. My bold prediction in this one, Baker Mayfield has his first 4-touchdown game of the season and his first one since week 15 last year against the Chargers when the Bucs won 40-17. This is one of the most favorable matchups Baker has had so far this season. And against this Patriots offense, you are going to have to keep scoring points. I think he's going to get a healthy Egbuka back out there. I think Tez is just getting better and better each and every week. And I agree with Evan that Cade Otton is going to see a lot of work because of how much tight ends can take advantage against the Patriots defense. Baker battled through the oblique injury. He's gotten some rest. Hopefully he gets his right tackle back, and then they are absolutely off to the races. My predictive player of the game, I got to go Egbuka here. I've talked about him all week long. I talked him up a lot on the squad show. I know I'm going back to the well once again, and the last time I picked Egbuka, it didn't work out great. But these last 2 games, he's had a ton of targets. They just weren't on target. They weren't catchable. So Baker is going to continue to feed him, and these two are going to find their rhythm and get back on track in this matchup. This is the get right game for the Baker-Ibuka stack. Ibuka finished with his career high in yards against the Seahawks with 163 earlier this season. I don't think he gets quite that many yards in this game, but it's going to be close. I see him finishing with around 150, and he's going to have a multi-touchdown game for the second time this season. My score, I think this one is going to be really similar to the 49ers game. I think it's going to be a little bit of a slugfest at the start, and then the Bucs are going to start to get some separation. That's going to lead to May having to throw a little bit more. That's going to give the defense the chances that they need to make plays, like we've seen from them over the course of the last couple of games, like we've seen the Patriots give up. It's going to lead to those sacks. It's going to lead to those takeaway opportunities. A 2.5-point spread is not enough for me in this game. I know Bowles isn't great out of the bye week historically, but historically, the Bucs aren't good in primetime. They're not good in throwbacks, and they're not good against the 49ers. So they're going to continue to buck trends here in this one. Give me the Buccaneers to win 31-20. Let's jump into the chat. Let's see your bold predictions, your score predictions, your players of the game. Let's see. Oh, well, I got to give a shout out to JJ. Drake May is my fantasy quarterback, but not this week. Bucs shake him all day like AC/DC, and he turns it over 3 times. I love the AC/DC reference. They're coming to Columbus too. Tickets just went on sale today. I'm going to keep an eye out for that one. My son, my other son, would like to go see that show. All right. Let's see. Let's get into some of these predictions. Lakita. 27-17 Bucs. Antoine gets a pick, and we get 3 sacks. I love that. Bantry, bold. Baker brings home another last-minute come-from-behind victory. So Bantry sees this one being a little closer. Player of the game, Devin Culp. I like that. 50-plus receiving yards and scores the game-winning touchdown. Bucs win 26-24. Bantry, you've piqued my curiosity. I'm wondering how much an anytime touchdown by Devin Culp, what the odds are on that one. I'm going to look into that. Tell you what, if I win big money betting on a Devin Culp anytime touchdown, I'll Venmo you part of it. Does that sound like a deal? I think it sounds like a deal. Danny, Bucs 27-20. Baker gets back into the MVP conversation. Demon Hunter, Bucs off the bye week, come in starving. Baker has 4 touchdowns on 34 of 35. My goodness. For 435, Emeka Ibuka, 200 yards, 3 touchdowns, 25 rushing and a touchdown. Tez gets 75 yards and a touchdown. Jamel Dean pick 6. My goodness. Demon Hunter picking the Bucs to win 45-14. Richard, in my Justin Timberlake voice, it's gonna be May Field. I love that. And real quick, Rich, you reminded me. I'm trying to find it up at the top. Let's go. I promised you I would try. I'm sorry, everybody. Scrolling is not the easiest. Richard put his prediction in way early into the chat. And I can't seem to find it, buddy. I am so sorry. We got Paul. Paul McCartney is a Bucs fan. Let it be. Bucs Super Bowl win. Baker, don't let me down. Emeka says hello, goodbye after a catch. I agree with Lakita. Very, very clever. Yeah, and I'll throw in a Wings song. The Bucs are going to walk onto the field and say, let me roll it right over this Patriots defense. Paul with another one. Charlie Heck, help Jamel Dean after another interception. A day in the life. I'm loving all of these. Paul and I chat Beatles and McCartney on Twitter every once in a while. Oh, Richard, I found it. Oh, all right. Richard says, I'll be driving, so going to jump ahead early. Bucs 27, Pats 23. Player of the game, Cade Otton with 2 touchdowns. I love that. And Let's see. Oh, we got Marcel. I'm sorry, Marcel. I missed you earlier when I was scrolling. Sterling and Tez both get touchdowns. I like that one a lot too. We got any others that we're going to jump in? Let's see. Oh, Ricky says the D-line is going to get another pick. I like that one. And it looks like, Alexander. This will be the one that we end on. May will get sacked 5+ times and lose a fumble. Yeah, guys, I think this is a game. This is a statement game opportunity for the Buccaneers. And it's not very often that they have those opportunities and blow them without extenuating circumstances. I think this is a matchup that favors the Buccaneers, even without their key players. I think this is a matchup that kind of brings the Patriots back down to earth. And even though the Bucs are not historically great against the Patriots, I think they've beaten them twice out of 10 matchups. This is not those teams. This is a Bucs team that is hungry to quiet the critics of the offense. This is a Bucs team that wants to go out and prove that they can do more than win in the last minute of a game against the Jets or against the Falcons or against whoever. And they are going to go out there and they're going to say, all right, Patriots are in first place in their division. We're in first place in our division. Let's see how these two teams really stack up. And they are going to establish dominance early and throughout. That is going to do it for this episode. I did promise you more on a double live show for Sunday. So here's how this is going to go. The Bucs Squad show has just launched. We launched heading into the bye week. We do it twice a week. We do a midweek show. We do a Sunday live reaction to the game. So the plan is right now, I will go live with this show around 5:30 or 6 o'clock on Sunday. The squad show, we will go live again at 8 o'clock. And those squad shows are 1 hour long. So you're going to get a double dose of live Locked On Bucs on Sunday. I won't be on every squad live on Sundays. I'll be on as many of them as I can be, but I will always be on that midweek show for you guys. And those shows are always live on YouTube. So make sure that you are following on YouTube with the notifications turned on, as well as wherever you get your podcasts. You turn those notifications on, you know every time we are going live, whether it's this one or the Bucs Squad. Jaron and Marcus bring some incredible takes, some incredible knowledge. Marcus was a national champion with Michigan. He was teammates with Charles Woodson and Tom Brady. Played in the NFL. He's coached. He's doing analysis for MAC football right now, a wealth of knowledge. So it's really fun to hear some of his views and some of his takes. So you're not going to want to miss that. Follow on Twitter at Locked On Bucs, at @JYarcho_Bucs, Instagram and TikTok at Locked On Bucs at both of those places. If you want to support the show, become a Locked On Bucs insider. Go to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnBucs or click the link in the show notes. If you want to support the show, but you don't want to be an insider, it's real simple. Like this episode on YouTube, leave a 5-star review wherever you get podcasts. It does help other Buccaneers fans find the show. Hope you all have an absolutely outstanding day. Stay safe, stay healthy, fire the cannons. I want to thank you so much for joining me right here on Locked On Bucs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.